guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a crime/thriller from Australia, English language, released in the year 2019, directed by Heath Davis, and this film is called Locusts. So Locusts is about this man. He is a rich kind of man, but his background, his past, was not so rich, and so he escaped his very abusive father, but he left his brother behind. So all these years later, he realises that his father's passed away. He committed suicide, so he's going to the very remote community that is very poor, because there's no mining anymore and everything is basically dried up, so there's no hope for this community. So he gets there and immediately he's very uncomfortable, and he goes to the funeral, and this is where he reunites with his estranged brother. Now his brother is a no-hoper. He basically has nothing to look forward to, and the main character starts to become concerned for him. So the further the brother realises what life his long-lost brother is leading, he starts to go down a very dark passage, and this dark passage makes him involved with the local thugs. And this is where the main character realises that there is a lot more behind this community than he first thought. So whether or not he is in danger is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Locust. This is a movie I didn't really have any expectations for. I didn't even know it existed, but I saw it on the shelf in the store here in Canberra, and I thought, why not give it a shot? It doesn't look bad, but based on previous Australian movies, I just didn't really have any hope. And unfortunately, that's just the norm as far as Australian film industry is concerned. There's so many bad ones that you don't really have any hope that the next Australian movie is going to be any good, unless it's really hyped up. There are a lot of forgotten films, and they're forgotten for a very specific reason, is because they're just very forgettable. And so I was actually umming and ahhing about Locust, but I saw the trailer and I thought it looked decent. So I thought, well, why not give it a shot, and hopefully it would surprise me. And although this is not a brilliant film, it's still a step above the made-for-TV crap that you see a lot in Australia these days. And so this is a movie that does have a little bit of a background to it, and that background is somewhat interesting, and that interest is sustained for the 85-minute runtime. So it's not a very long movie, and I thought it really got to the base very quickly, and it did what it did. And it's a disposable sort of crime thriller, but it's a crime thriller that is worthy of your attention, and so that's something I liked. I thought, as far as production is concerned, it looked very good. It had a very hopeless, bleak outlook. This community, there are communities in Australia, it's considered a rich country, but there are forgotten communities, and this is a forgotten community. In this community, they're very poor, the health system is very bad, people are in a very bad way, but a lot of people turn a blind eye to these, and so you can associate very poor communities within a very rich country, but the rich country is what we market to the rest of the world. And so these are pockets of Australia that exist, and unfortunately these people have to go through pretty rough times, and you wouldn't really associate that with a first world country. And so that does bring up that sort of idea, and that is something that you can discuss. And these things that not only in Australia but USA, England, I'm sure, all these first world countries, it doesn't mean that everyone is living the life. And in Locusts, I thought that really emphasised it very well through the very dreary. It's set in the outback. It's got a very beautiful look, but at the same time, the beauty is all in the nature. It's not in the humanity. The humanity is quite ugly. So it's a very bleak and very raw film that I thought it captures the mood that Heath Davis wants, and so it does set the tone for a very dark sort of thriller. So as I said, the continuity of the film is very good, and I really liked that. I never got bored, and I thought the story, as I said, when it starts to piece together what's happening, I thought, all right, it's interesting, and you've got some really good villains in it as well. And so it's not a violent film. It does have a very sort of violent tendencies, but it's not a graphically violent movie, but you just feel the raw power through the emotions, through the characters. I thought the main character was likeable. He was out of his depths when he comes to this rural community. It kind of reminded me of Wake in Fright, where a city slicker comes into the country and he's out of his depth and he starts to become absorbed in that lifestyle. I thought the main character's progression from a city slicker to the community, I thought, although he was rich, he still had his problems, and so they were different from the people that he was associated with, but it was still problems none the same. And so we're all the same as far as humanity is concerned, but unfortunately how we face our problems is very different. So that is all the interesting aspect that Locust has. I thought the acting was very good. The main character, you've got a cameo from Peter Phelps. He's a fantastic Australian actor who's in a lot of TV shows. Also Steve McQueen. Now I'll probably butchered that name probably, I can never pronounce it properly, but he is definitely a very common figure as far as Australian cinema is concerned, so it was good to see him. He plays one of the villains. He plays a villain very, very well, and so I thought the villains were great, and the story and how this was all going to unfold, I thought was worthy of 85 minutes. And so the end, right at the end, I thought, all right, well, that was a fairly decent Australian thriller. And so it goes through the motions, it does what it does very competently, and that is something that I am grateful for. But yeah, if I have problems with the movie, is that it is competent, and it doesn't really go too much further than that. It's just competent, and it's a disposable kind of movie, and it just doesn't have the quality that these very famous Australian films have. But as I said, it's different from the made-for-TV crap, and that's what I liked about it the most. And so it's a little bit to think about. It is quite suspenseful in moments. You got good villains and a good sort of story that adds up to what is a decent Australian thriller. So I was happy with what I got, and as a result of that, I'm going to give Locust 3 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.